בשם השם נעשה ונצליח, שיעור תורה, ברוכים הבאים חברים יקרים. We are back here Wednesday night, Stump the Rabbi, Baruch Hashem, the longest standing series and most popular series that we've ever had, where after a little bit of Divrei Torah, you guys will ask some questions. Be'ezrat Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give us the answers. Tonight's shiur will be for the Refuah Shlema for Rabbanit Sarah Bat Anat, Rabbanit Levana Bat Sarah, Rav Ephraim Ben Shulamit Avi Mori, David Ben Nesriya, Imi Morati Doris Bat Jora, and also for the Atzlacha Rabbah for Maaser Bat Julie, all of Am Yisrael, all of the righteous Noahites that continue to contribute to the different amazing campaigns that we have, either to support and help the poor tzaddikim in Eretz Yisrael, or to help our kollel in Eretz Yisrael, two kollels in Eretz Yisrael, Baruch Hashem, or the new movie, the Gaon movie, which, as a side note, for any of you that were really considering some of the higher investments in the movie, we are a matter of just a few hours away from ending the first two possibilities, the top naming rights, as far as the movie. That ends tonight, Be'ezrat Hashem. After that, everybody will be able to continue donating as much as they want, but we're not going to be able to add the names to the movie. Certainly, there's a supporting the movie will still be available and needed, but again, to put names in the movie, would have to, redo the parts of the movie. So, with that being said, Be'ezrat Hashem na'aseh v'natzliach. We have a amazing shiur in front of us, lots of interesting things, where this week's parasha, parashat Vayeitzei, Yaakov Be'er-Shava, Vayelech Harana. Yaakov follows the instructions of his parents, who tell him that he must leave, he must go, to Lavan's house, stay over there and find himself a kala, find himself a shidduch, start building a life. Why go over there? I mean, it's quite frankly, if you think about it, Lavan is much more dangerous than Esav. If in fact, why didn't Esav follow? He knew where Yaakov was going, especially since his son Eliphaz caught Yaakov on the way and robbed him of everything that he had. So Esav knew exactly where Yaakov was going. Why didn't Esav go after him? Say the Chachamim that even though Esav was the biggest warrior in town, Esav became the strongest man in the world. When did he become the strongest man in the world? He became the strongest man in the world when he defeated the strongest man in the world, which was Nimrod. Nimrod was a powerful person, a powerful king that was a very big, wicked, awful, disgusting person, but nonetheless killed many people. And Esav killed him. That's actually what happened when Esav came back and wanted to buy or bought the stew, the red stew from Yaakov. Says that I'm famished. The Chazal tell us that he just came back from committing all types of crimes, adultery and murder. Who did he murder? He murdered Nimrod. And so in fact, after you kill the most powerful person, you become the most powerful person. So if you're the most powerful person as far as strength is concerned, go after your enemy. You go after your enemy, especially since you know where he's going. Why didn't Esav go after him? So one of the things that Chazal teaches is that you see, Lavan wasn't a regular person. If you notice that as soon as Yaakov decides to, he follows his parents' instructions, but he doesn't go directly to Lavan's house. He goes to the yeshiva of Shem and Ever for 14 years. Well, they just told you to go over there. Why the delay of 14 years? He's scared. He's scared that he's not going to be able to handle Lavan. Is Lavan such a muscular person? Does he have nuclear weapons? Is he Russia? Is he America? Is he China? Is he Iran? Who is this Lavan that everybody's so scared of him? Even more so, you see that Yaakov says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that he's scared, and he in essence pleads with him. If you give me food to eat, a place to live, Everything that you give me, I'll give Maaser, or Aser Asrenu Lach. It actually says over there that it's a double tithe, which the Gaon Vilna says is 20%. Teaching us based on his pasuk in chapter 28, verse 22, that a person that gives 10% of their income for the sake of Torah, for the sake of tzedakah, real tzedakah, not garbage tzedakah that is just campaigns that people are collecting money to buy themselves more furniture and more houses. Real tzedakah that actually helps Am Yisrael get closer to Hashem. This, Rabotai Karim, is the biggest tzedakah that a person can do. And in fact, giving Maaser for that, the Gaon Vilna says, will protect his money from losses. The Baruch Hashem, I have a few tzaddikim that have committed themselves over the years to giving Maaser, from their income, from their hardworking income to our organization. And one of the interesting things that, I always find out after the fact is that they decided to sell their investments after I spoke about it not being a good idea to be invested in the market, and they followed suit. And of course, HaKadosh Baruch Hu protected them before the stock market, went down by 20-something%. Real estate market started going down. Other things started collapsing. Of course, all of the fecal matter coin decided to go back to earth and drop from 60,000 to 16,000. Before all of this garbage was exposed, and it's not even the beginning yet. But some of these Ponzi schemes that have been legal for the last several years and have made many, many people rich on paper, Baruch Hashem, some of my loyal students actually got out of this garbage and saved themselves a pretty fortune. One particular student told me he saved something like $500,000. So Baruch Hashem. And so the Gaon Vilna says somebody that gives Maaser, HaKadosh Baruch Hu promises him that he's going to protect his money. Or anybody that's scared of the market, you should be scared because this is not even the beginning. When it eventually collapses, it's going to make 2008 look like child's play. I just don't know when it's going to be, but certainly it's something that's coming. Either way, the Gaon Vilna says that if somebody wants to get rich, they have to follow what Yaakov Avinu did. What? Aser asrenu lach, double maaser, 20%. 20% of the income guarantees that a person will become rich during his lifetime. 20%. But this is something that's a big test, not only because of the amount, but also because you have to be consistent. You have to be consistent, you have to take it seriously. And Baruch Hashem, I've seen it with my own eyes, how this works. Yishtabach Shemo La'ad, one of the greatest things that a person can see is things through their own lives. Through their own lives. And as I've told you guys, Baruch Hashem, over the years, that, as far as once I decided to leave the investment business, I took upon myself not to take on any other type of work, even though many people have offered me all types of partnerships and all types of consulting and all types of different things. I've always said, listen, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has enough of those other people that are busy with making money. He doesn't have people that are busy with saving neshamot, bringing them back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I have to dedicate every bit of myself to helping Am Yisrael get closer to Hashem. That means I have to learn as much Torah as I possibly can. I have to run the organization itself. And Baruch Hashem, starting from nothing, literally nothing, and selling our car just to get the organization started and to live. I committed already from the beginning that this is something we're going to go with, and Baruch Hashem, it's over the years the organization has grown. There was nearly over $2 million, $2.5 million or so in donations last year. Baruch Hashem, things are okay this year. We have something like $1.8 million in expenses per year. $150,000 a year in expenses, $150,000 a month in expenses. It's a lot of money, whether it's employees or it's graphics or it's contracts or it's this or it's that. An enormous amount of money. Where does it all come from? HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends it from people. Different people that get excited by the shiurim, that it changes their lives, decide to donate. Sometimes they donate once in a while. Sometimes they donate on a regular basis. But a few people are wise enough to make it their maaser. their Maaser. I would only wish that many more people would make it their Maaser, their 10%, because this would certainly help the organization and the people themselves much more than it already does. But needless to say, this is something that is clear proof in front of my eyes. You go from literally just being a beginner to Baruch Hashem having an organization that is helping tens of thousands of people eat every year. Hundreds of thousands of people learn Torah, kollels, yeshiva, all these wonderful things that the organization does. And also one of the things that I took upon myself to just help myself build my emunah is simply decide that from the beginning, I'm not, whatever the big payments that a person has, my rent payment, all these big things that a person needs to fund with their life, I'm not taking that from the organization. Let me figure out how I could learn more, how I could do more for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in order for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to send money for that too, on a separate, outside of the company. And that's exactly what has been in Baruch Hashem since the beginning of everything. We've never taken a single penny to pay any of our rent or anything like that, just simply because this is something that it helps us with our emunah. Of course, I can. Of course, some people say I should. But the point being is that it's when you see a Kadosh Baruch Hu fulfill his words in black and white, there's nothing greater in the world, than to actually to live that. And one of the greatest things that I see is that I'm able to myself give this chomesh, give the 20% to tzaddikim, to help people, and puts you in a position where you realize HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world. So this is, Rabotai, one of the greatest lessons that I learned with my own skin. And I always try to tell people, everybody always thinks that, oh yeah, but this, I can use this money or this or that. So do what you want, but this is from Yaakov Avinu. It's a person needs to be reminded, do you want to have a 100% of 10,000 or 90% of, or 80% of 100,000? That's that's just simple math. But nonetheless, this, Rabotai, is one of the things that Yaakov Avinu in this week's parasha does, where he commits to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that if he saves him, he protects him, he's going to give chomesh. He's going to give 20% of what he has for the sake of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for sanctifying the Torah, to help the poor, to help the needy, both spiritually and otherwise. But again, this is all on the back of being afraid of Lavan Rasha. Lavan Rasha, once Yaakov Avinu arrives in town and he sees all these shepherds by this well, and they're all standing over there, and he says to them, do you guys know Lavan? Yes. That's it. No more. Like they didn't add a single word. Usually you say somebody, hey, Steve? Oh yeah, Steve. You mean Steve that lives on with that big house? Steve with the red car. Steve just got married 3 years ago. Steve that just, one of his boys, I think he fell 3 days ago. Steve that he likes to eat chulent, but really early in the morning. 15 different things they give you. These people, Lavan? Yes, that's it. That's where it ends. Okay. Is everything good with him? Yes. And this is his daughter. Go talk to her. They want nothing to do with Lavan. They don't want to talk about him. Nothing. He's not even here. What are you scared of? What are you scared of? What are you scared of? We see later on, Lavan is a Ramai. Lavan the Aramean. Lavan the Ramai. Lavan the cheater, the thief. But not only that, Lavan was an idol worshiper, but he wasn't just your typical idol worshiper. Lavan was a sorcerer. Lavan was a sorcerer that had idols. These terafim that we learn about at the end of the parasha, that his daughter Rachel, she steals from him. We learned already these terafim, these idols weren't normal idols. These were serious idols that told him the future, told him a lot of different things. And how did he get these idols? Lavan was the ultimate sorcerer, where he had a way where they would take this type of idolatry, this type of sorcery. They would take a firstborn male, chop off his head, shave his head, and then empty out certain things in there, put a piece of copper under his tongue, a few other different steps you don't need to know, and this thing will start talking. Start telling him whatever he wants to tell him. Start telling him the future, what to buy, which stock to buy, which stock to short. Get out of real estate, get into real estate, donate to this organization that's having a campaign that does absolutely nothing, donate to another organization that does everything. Depends. Tells him everything. So, this also shows us why everybody's scared of him, including Esav. Why? Because Esav is the firstborn. Esav is the firstborn. He's scared that if he goes after his brother at Lavan's house, he'll end up becoming a little statue, a little Esav statue. A little Esav statue with a little copper in his mouth. So Esav stays back. But why is Yaakov scared? Yaakov is scared for two reasons. Number one, he bought the firstborn rights. He bought them. Number two, even if Lavan doesn't care about the firstborn rights, he's one of these idol worshippers, doesn't care about anything. Still, he's a sorcerer. It's full of tumah, full of impurity. Hashem, I need protection. So, what's the protection? Go learn Torah 14 years straight. That's going to give you the ultimate protection. A person learns Torah, that gives him the ultimate protection against everything. That's what the Gemara Masechet Sanhedrin says, that there was a witch that tried to put some witchcraft on Rabbi Hanina. She took some sand from under his feet, some sand that he stepped on, and because she wanted to put a spell on him. Rabbi Hanina caught her, he saw it. He goes, okay, go ahead, do it. Go, spray me, do what you want with this sand. Go ahead. Go ahead. Ain Od Milvado, he tells her. What is this? Rabbi Yochanan says, witchcraft is dangerous. This is a witch, but not for Rabbi Hanina. Not for Rabbi Hanina. Tzadikim that are glued to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. For them, Ain Od Milvado. There's nothing else but HaKadosh Baruch Hu that can affect them. Nobody can affect them. And that's in essence what HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Yaakov Avinu. You are with me, don't worry, I'll take care of you. I'll take care of you, Yaakov. So, Yaakov makes the step, moves forward, follows the instructions of his parents, and he wants to marry the beautiful Rachel. Of course, everyone knows the story that Rachel wants to marry him too, but her father Ramai, her father Lavan, that tried to destroy all of Am Yisrael, tried to destroy Yaakov, he cheats him and he gives him Leah, which was also beautiful, which was also tzadikah, but wasn't supposed to be a zivug initially. Leah used to cry every night because she thought that she was supposed to marry Esav. That's why it says that her eyes were soft. But nonetheless, Yaakov ends up marrying both of them. And we see here that there is a lot to learn about genetics. A lot to learn about genetics, a lot to learn about marriage, a lot to learn about the time between the husband and his wife, similar to some of the things we are learning, Baruch Hashem, in our Kedusha, from our Kedusha Sefer by the Ramban in the series of Jewish intimacy. So this, Rabotai, is some of the things that we learn here, where we see that initially Leah is the only one that's giving babies, that's bringing babies to the world, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees that Yaakov loves her, but he loves Rachel more, which makes it appear as if she is a hated wife. So Hashem compensates her for it, gives her one baby after another, one tzaddik after another. Rachel sees this and she says, you know what, at least let me do what my grandmother did, my great-grandmother, Sarah Imenu. Sarah Imenu brought Hagar, and she says, no, Avraham, I want you to have a child. I want you to have a child, so you continue, you build a nation, even if it's not for me. Hey, take this Hagar, I'll build from her. And we already learned, what does that mean, built from her? Not that she's going to babysit Ishmael. She's not going to babysit Ishmael the Arab. She's not going to babysit him. No, she is going to show Hashem that she cares more about the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the success of our husband, than she cares about her own personal agenda. own personal benefit. And because of that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu also gave her Yitzchak Avinu. And that's in essence what Rachel says. I will build through her. You go with Bil'ah, my maidservant, and I'll build through her, meaning that Hashem will see that I'm willing to contribute. As long as you're producing more tzaddikim in the world, that's it, it's good. If Hashem doesn't want it to come from me, it doesn't, but at the very least, I contribute by allowing this to happen. So this, of course, is not something that's practiced today, at least not by the permission of a wife. Some of these guys that are simply no different than animals, they have other relationships on the side, and sometimes entire lives outside of their marriage. Hashem Yerachem, without Torah, a person could simply be an animal. But here we learn from tzaddikim that the will of Hashem has to be the priority in a person's life. And that's what ends up happening where Rachel says, Hashem accepted my prayer. He accepted my prayer. Why? It was successful. A child came from it, Naphtali. Dan. All of these tzaddikim came from her. So she says, okay, this is a success. There's a blessing here. Now, after that, we see that Leah, even though she's already had 4 babies, she wants babies, she wants more. She wants more. She's zealous to fulfill the prophecy that Yaakov is going to have 12 kids, 12 boys. Other kids too, other daughters, but 12 boys, the 12 tribes. The Rachel and Leah were prophetess. So they knew there's going to be 12. Leah sees, this is, I had 4, but still there's more to go. I don't want these, Bilain Zilpat to have all of them. And since Rachel's not having them, let me have it. I'm going to have more. She's zealous to fulfill the will of Hashem. And when her son Reuven comes with the Dudaim spread these special flowers that are actually helpful when it comes to bringing fertility, increasing fertility. These Dudaim, Chachamim say that there are different types of flowers, different opinions about what these Dudaim were. But point is that when Rachel sees this, she says to her sister, give me some of those Dudaim. Give me some of them. Leah initially gets upset at her, but she appeases her by telling her, listen, you can have, even though it's my night, Rachel says, it's my night with Yaakov, you can have Yaakov tonight. This makes Leah as happy as can possibly be. It says, Vayeitzei Leah likrato, v'tomer elai tavo ki sachar sicharticha. What happens? Yaakov comes from the field in the evening, and Leah goes out towards him. And she says, it's to me that you must come to tonight, for I have surely hired you. So the Chachamim go to town on this. Why? Bunch of things. First and foremost, what's going on here? Vayeitzei Leah, she goes after him. How did she find out even that he's even outside? So the Gemara says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu helped Leah. He helped Leah. How did he help Leah? That he made the donkey that Yaakov was riding make noise, stop and make noise as he was coming closer to the house. So Leah heard, Abba's coming. I'm going to get him. She's excited to go see her husband. So she goes out. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu made this because had she not heard this, Yaakov knows he was supposed to go to Rachel's house. So he was going to go there. It's going to become uncomfortable. No, he's supposed to go there. The whole thing is weird. So she hears Yaakov is coming. She comes out. She's all ready. She's macked out with the beautiful dress and the makeup and the kisui rosh and the whole beautiful thing. She's excited. It's my night with my husband. Ishtabach shimo. Come, I hired you. So that's one thing. Okay, we said that we answered the question. How did she find out? Second thing is though, it says Vayeitzei Leah, and the Chachamim say, wait a minute, Vayeitzei Leah. We see this somewhere else. Where do we see this somewhere else? We see this later on in the Torah, Vayeitzei Dinah. that Dinah, her daughter, she also went out, but Dinah got raped. Dinah got raped, and they said, like mother, like daughter. What does it mean? It means that Dinah saw, heard that or learned from her mom to be outgoing, but she didn't learn it the proper way, and apparently she followed suit, and because she went out where she wasn't supposed to be, HaKadosh Baruch Hu punished her by getting raped. So wait a minute, so is what Leah did bad or good? If HaKadosh Baruch Hu helped her, then it seems good. But if HaKadosh Baruch Hu punished her daughter, then it seems bad. Which one is it? So let's see. Di Gemara, Ishtabach Shimon La'ad, Gemara. Masechet Nedarim. It's also in Masechet Eruvin. Nedarim 20b and Eruvin 100b. Says, praiseworthy is the woman that entices her husband to have relations with her so that they'll be able to have children. Why? Because those children that they will have, because she's enticing her husband in the proper way, not like Shem Yishmo, not in a proper way, through a soft speech or the classy way. Let's just say that. I think anyone that is an adult understands what I mean. Now, if a woman appropriately entices her husband to have relations with her, they will have children, but not just regular children. They're going to have children that are even greater than those that lived in the generation of Moshe Rabbeinu. What's the proof? The proof is Leah. Why? What child came out of that night with her husband Yaakov? Issachar. Issachar was Talmid Chacham. Issachar was Kodesh Kodeshim. Issachar, the Gemara says, his descendants were those that understood the times. These are the people that had profound knowledge beyond anybody else in their generation. So they were judges, they were heads of Sanhedrin. These are people who were extraordinary people. This comes from Issachar. So again, we see that it sounds good. Look what Leah did. Sounds fantastic. She enticed her husband to be with her. So again, we understand Hashem helped her. So what's the problem? So why did Dinah get raped then? She went out also. The difference is, Rabotai Karim, there's a big difference. What's the big difference? The big difference is, what did Leah have on her mind, and what did her daughter have in her mind? Leah had in her mind, I'm going to my husband so I can bring more Kedusha to the world. That's what she has in her mind. So her act is pure, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu helped her. Dinah, she didn't have that on her mind. She had interest. What are all these non-Jewish girls doing? What do you care about what these non-Jewish girls are doing? What are all these people doing over here? All these people putting lights on their houses. What are they doing? What do you care about what these lights on the houses? Do you have lights in your house? No. So if you don't have it in your house, why do you care to have it in their house? No, I don't know. I want to see. Why do you want to see? Why do you want to see what they do in public school? Why do you want to see what they do in movie theaters? Why do you want to see what they do in nightclubs? For what? Why do you want to see all that stuff? Dinah was curious, but curiosity is not necessarily always a good thing. And she got punished for it. So it all depends on what's on your mind. But we see here, Rabotai, that Leah was a big tzedeket, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu rewarded her for it. Gave her Issachar. Moving on, we see that Yaakov is working hard for Lavan. If only we worked 1% as hard for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we'd be tzaddikim. As Yaakov worked for Lavan the rasha. Yaakov is Kodesh Kodeshim. He is honest, but he's not getting paid properly. He's being cheated 100 times. After his 11th son, Yosef, is born, Yaakov says, okay, it's enough. It's time to go. Lavan, let me go. Lavan says, no, Habibi. No, Habibi. No, come, listen. I love you. You know I love you, right? No, listen. No, don't tell me I love you. I've been here already 15 years. You don't love anybody but yourself. No, come on. We're family. I give you my daughters. Come on, let's eat chulin together. Let's eat this. What do you want, Lavan? What do you want, Lavan? Listen, since you come here, I become a rich man. Why don't you stay more? Because you're the only one that's getting rich, Chamor. You're the only one that's getting rich. So I gotta go make a better living working for somebody else. Go do something. No. Listen, how much you want? How much you want I pay you? How much you want I pay you? Yaakov Avinu says, I don't want you to pay me anything. I want to rely on HaKadosh Baruch Hu only. Rabbi Reuven quoted one of the great Hasidim in the previous generation and says, Yaakov Avinu says to Lavan, I don't want nothing from you. I don't want you to give me a paycheck. I want you to give me a paycheck, limit me, this is how much. I'm an independent contractor. I want to be an independent contractor. I'm taking all the risk here. That means I could either win everything or I could lose everything. I don't want a paycheck. Some people have the goal, the courage, and the confidence in themselves to go into commission-only business. Some people, no thank you, no commission. I want a salary. I want to know what I'm going to make every 2 weeks, every week, whatever it is. I want a paycheck. I want it to be exactly the same. That's what I want. Well, no problem. If a person wants to have steady income, he has to work for some company. The bigger, the better usually. They're going to pay you on time without any games. They don't have time for that. They're too busy making money. They're going to pay you the same paycheck every 2 weeks. Every year you're going to get a few percentage points raise. Once in a blue moon you'll get a promotion. Okay, beseder, you have a pretty predictable life. Unless there's a recession, depression, and then everybody gets fired. But nonetheless, according to all logic, you have a steady, stable life. The other guy that's a commission-based guy, well, listen, he could live off of, zero. He has to find a way to live off of zero. Why? Because he didn't make any sales. He didn't get any contracts. He didn't get any clients. So that means there's no commission coming in. There's no deals. All these real estate brokers and different types of managers of assets or salesmen of all types, generally speaking, they work off of 100% commission. And this is not an easy life. But when they do succeed, the success is extraordinary. The vast majority don't succeed. But the ones that do succeed, certainly it's worth it because you can make more money than your average person makes in a year. You can make it more in a day. This is one of the most difficult things for people to do because you simply have to put everything on the line. And if you're not good in reality and only in your imagination, then certainly this is not going to work out. Even more so, if a person is simply, he may be good, but he's lazy. He wants to wake up whenever he wants to wake up. He wants to go wherever he wants to go. He wants to, have no discipline and no structure. He wants to work whenever, go whenever. He wants to be an independent contractor. Typically, those people end up being failures and they end up going back into the normal, regular job, paycheck to paycheck type of life. People that go into these bigger types of things where they're able to make commissions, generally speaking, if the more successful they are, that's because they're more committed, they're harder working. But also it usually means that they've also gone through bigger highs and lower lows. Either way, this is one of the things that I've seen throughout my life. This is the life that I lived. These are the choices that I've made. And I understand 100% what Yaakov Avinu is doing here from a business perspective. But from a emunah perspective, only if you learn Torah and you're glued to HaKadosh Baruch Hu can you understand his decision. Why? Listen, Habibi, you have wife and kids. Not just one wife. You got 4 wives. You got 11 kids. What do you mean you're going to work off of commission? What do you mean? That's not even commission. You have to depend on a certain color of a sheep, of a goat, to come out. That's going to be your paycheck. What if it doesn't come out? So at the very least, arrange the deal where you're going to keep all of the colored ones, all the speckled ones that you're supposed to get, make them breed, And that way you practically have a 100% success ratio, or at the very least 50-50. No. Yaakov Avinu says, I want to trust HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and I also want to show Lavan that I have integrity. I have integrity. Person doesn't have integrity, he doesn't have nothing. If you tell people one thing and you do something else, you're worth nothing. Zero. If you're a liar, if you're a cheat, you're worth zero. Nothing. You're a zero. Why? Person that doesn't have integrity is a zero in the eyes of God, and needless to say, in the eyes of people that he ends up lying to. People need to learn how to say the truth. You say that you do something, do it. Even if you're late, even if you messed up, do it. Own up to it. People today cannot own up to their mistakes, cannot own up to anything. So what do? They make excuses. Oh, wait, you told me to do that? Yeah, you're the only one that I've talked to. Oh, no, I thought you meant somebody else. What do you mean, the person in the picture? Who did I say to? Who? Oh, no, I just thought. Oh, you just thought. It's really, you forgot, or you were too busy going to hang out with your friends, or your girlfriends, or your boyfriends, or whatever friends that you have, and you forgot to do your job. Now you're just pretending like you forgot. You're pretending like you forgot. People can't own up to their mistakes. They can't own up to their mistakes. No, so you're working? Yeah, I'm on the way to work. What do you mean you're on the way to work? It's 12 o'clock in the afternoon. How are you on the way to work? No, I just went out for a second. What went out? In reality, he's on the way to work. It slipped. He's on the way to work. He's showing up to work at 12 o'clock. He's a liar. What happened? Oh, listen, I can't show up today. Why? No, my aunt died. You have an ant farm? No, my aunt. My aunt. Or you close to her? It's family. Where does she live? Oh, she's in Texas. But you're in Florida. Yeah, I'm mourning. You mean good morning? You want to sleep in? You don't want to go to work? You're going to be a loser. Loser. Not only because you're lazy, but because you're a liar. People that are liars, people that don't have integrity, generally speaking, the end of the road is only losses. Only losses. This is why I tell people, these people that you see making so much noise in the media and everywhere, they succeed, these celebrities and so on, every single one of them, one after another, you'll see go broke. Every single one of them. I told somebody just the other day, I don't know, a few weeks ago, about this Cain, that thing. I believe that within 10 years or less, he's either going to be completely broke before he kills himself, or he's just going to die. Whichever one happens first. Either way, this is not a person that's going to maintain his success. Simply not. Now, of course, I know it seems illogical and impossible in the eyes of people because of the numbers that people see and imagine. But trust me when I tell you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has destroyed much more than fools like him. Either way, Yaakov Avinu, the tzaddik, the kadosh, wants to show HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I believe in you. Not only that, he wants to show Lavan the rasha, I don't trust you at all. I don't want you to pay me anything. I don't want anything from you. What I want is simply for us to agree to terms, and you comply with it. What's the terms? You have all these sheep, right? You see these little ugly ones? The ones that are colored, not the ones that are nice, white, or brown, or black, solid colors. No, all the speckled ones. All the ones that, pretty much you can't wait to get rid of the wool so you can shecht them and do other things. Those guys, that's the ones. Remove all of those. Let me keep, as a shepherd, only the ones that are solid color. Okay. And from now on, any sheep that's born, that's speckled, that has all these different colors on them, that's my commission. That's my profit. Anyone that's solid colored, it's yours. So that means that you can see my integrity, says Yaakov Avinu. You can see my integrity. Why you can see my integrity? Because if you come, you see all my sheep. If you find a single one that's solid colored, I stole it from you. This is something you can see. This is something you can see. And if I stole it from you, I'm a thief. Lavan says, indeed. Yeah, I like that. I like that kind of deal. I like doing business with you. I like it. Lavan can't wait to do this deal. Why? He thinks he's going to win. He thinks he's going to win. This guy's taking a bunch of solid colored sheep, and he is giving me all the ones that are speckled color, and he thinks that he's going to make enough money to go feed 11 kids, 4 wives with that. Be my guest. Now, Rabotai, this is an unusual deal. Yaakov Avinu is putting everything on the line to show HaKadosh Baruch Hu he believes in him. But even more so, he's so confident, he knows he's going to win. It's like a fixed game. He already knows the results. He already knows the outcome at the time that he made the deal. So, later on, we found out why. When Yaakov Avinu becomes rich, sees the success everywhere, he has everything you can possibly imagine, endless amount of this flock goes from one corner to another corner, huge amount of flock, he has donkeys, he has everything. He's extraordinarily wealthy. In the same amount of time that it took him to get one of his wives, he got an enormous amount of wealth, so much so that the sons of Lavan can't stand it. Lavan can't stand it. They start looking at it, he stole that. Yeah, but what do you mean? You changed the deal. And yeah, but he still won. So, change the deal again. I changed the deal again. And what happened? And he won again. What do you mean? So how did he cheat? I don't know, he cheated. He must have cheated. So change the deal again. Yeah, I did. And what happened? He won again. How many times you changed the deal? 100 times I changed the deal. And he won every single time? He won every single time. Must be a cheat. Technically, no, you must be crazy to think that that's a cheat. Not possible. This is obviously the finger of God. Even the necromancers of Paro, when they saw the plague of the lice, something they could not replicate with their witchcraft, they said, this is the finger of God. This is not creation of witchcraft. This is not something that a person can do. So Yaakov Avinu becomes very rich. He sees that Lavan hates it, is jealous, he's killing him, and he says it's time to go. HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes to Yaakov and tells him, Yaakov, it's time to go back home. Fulfill the promise that you told me before you got here. Fulfill all those promises. Time to go home. Beseder, time to go home. It's good. Now he tells his wives. When he tells his wives, he tells them, listen, when I was doing all this deal, when I was doing all, being a shepherd, working day and night and everything, after we made this deal, everything I could possibly do, I did to be fair with Lavan, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided to give me all the winnings. HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw that Lavan is cheating me, he's lying to me, and he told me, Yaakov, I've seen your suffering, I've seen what Lavan is doing to you. It's time to change the game. What's change the game? I'm going to show you how to win. How to get the blessing. And also teach us, 4,000 years later, about genetics. A week ago, we learned in the Shiur about what the Zohar Kadosh says, that the genetics of the nations is something that is different than the genetics of Am Yisrael, because Am Yisrael, their faces, their appearance change based on the air. So if you put a Jew in China over several generations, those descendants of that Jew will actually start looking like the Asian people that he's living next to. And more, anyone that wants to watch it can go to last week's Shiur. Tonight we're going to see something even more extensive and goes into more details. Where in the Sefer by Rav Zamir Cohen, called the Coming Revolution, or the Ma'apach, or also the I think there's another name for it aside from the Coming Revolution. Oh, Science Comes of Age. This Sefer has a lot of interesting things, and it says that two of the most revolutionary laws in genetics were discovered over the last 100 or so years. Mendel's laws of inheritance and the law of heterosis. And both of them appear in this week's parasha. Both of them. First, a person needs to understand that the Zohar Kadosh says that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, He created the world according to what the Torah says. Meaning that the Torah was created before the world was created. The Gemara Masechet Chagigah says, Kadosh Baruch Hu created the world 974 generations after He created the Torah. And therefore he looked at the Torah as the blueprint for creating the world. Where whatever was needed according to the Torah is what He put in His world. Similar to what the Midrash says in Midrash Rabbah Bereshit, where HaKadosh Baruch Hu is like a king that designed a castle based on what his future needs are going to be. He knew he's going to need food, so he put a kitchen. He knew he's going to need a place for guests, so he put guest rooms. He knew he's going to need a lot of light in a certain room, so he put more chandeliers there, and so on and so forth. That's how HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, based on the blueprint called the Torah. And when a person understands that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created such a world, then they could start understanding that since He is above time and above anything else, He is the creator. The past, present, and future are all the same to Him. What happened 4,000 years ago, or what's happening today, or what will happen tomorrow or in 50 years from now, is all exactly the same in the eyes of Hashem. There is no difference whatsoever. And when He created everything, He put everything that's in existence to the smallest details inside the Torah. And that's what the Gaon Vilna writes in the Sefer Safra D'Tzniusa. It's a commentary on the Zohar Kadosh, where he says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put every single thing that will ever be, that ever was and ever will be, to the smallest details, including your personal life, including today's shiur, including how you're going to feel in the morning between the hours of 9 and 10 in the morning, including what socks you looked at in the store that you went to 3 years ago on the way to work, including what sandwich you ate 15 years ago at 3 o'clock in the afternoon during your lunch break from work, including what you're going to do 18 years from now at 8 o'clock on a Friday, and so on and so forth. Every single small detail of creation is inside the Torah. And when a person understands that general idea, because it's impossible for a person to understand the details of it because we don't think in infinite terms, then they could easily understand how the prophecy of Yaakov could easily contain in it some of the most revolutionary discoveries in the field of genetics in recent years. The agreement between Yaakov and Lavan was that Yaakov would take ownership of all of the newborn, speckled, and spotted animals in the flock. Initially, really, it was supposed to be the ones that were there. Lavan changed the deal. Initially, he was supposed to leave some of them behind and take most of them back. Lavan changed the deal. What it ended up being was, against all odds, he left them only solid animals, and whatever is born from there that's speckled and spotted, that's your profit. Okay. After separating them away from each other and making sure that they take those animals 3 days away, Yaakov starts profiting. The prophecy in chapter 31, verse 10 says, "And it came to pass at the time that the flock was fertile, and I," meaning Yaakov, "raised my eyes and saw in a dream that the rams which leaped upon the flock were streaked, speckled, and spotted." Meaning that everything that he had was what he actually needed. But the reality was the exact opposite. He didn't have any spotted animals. He didn't have anything. And then an angel of God says to me, "Yaakov." And I said, "Here I am." He says, "Lift up your eyes and see the rams upon your flocks, streaks, speckled, spotted, for I have seen all that Lavan has done to you." And from this point of the dream, Yaakov begins to understand that Lavan has been cheating him the whole time, much more than he thought. And he has to be more aggressive with certain things. And he decides to send Lavan the least fertile animals to mate with his flock. And the verses continue saying, "And he sent the feeble animals to Lavan, those animals that are least likely to be fertile, and the strongest ones stayed with Yaakov's flock." And Yaakov's wealth grew. So here we see that Yaakov's behavior was a little bit unusual. The deal itself. 2, the fact that he sees in his dream, in his prophecy, that everything he has is what he needs, when it's in the reality is exactly the opposite. He doesn't have spotted animals. He doesn't have anything like that. And we see that things are a little bit strange. So one thing that Yaakov did do as his ishtadlut, following the instructions of this dream, following the obligation of having some effort, is that Yaakov made sure to take the rods of he took, the verse says here in Genesis 30, verses 37 and 39, it says, "And Yaakov took rods of green poplar from the almond and the plane tree, and peeled white streaks in them, and made the white within the rods appear." So imagine you have a stick, a tree, and tree, let's say, has the outside of it, it looks green or looks brown or whatever it is. But if you take a razor and you slice it, take that off, now it exposes the white. So he made several of these, let's say one tree, he made, let's say, 3 spots of white. And he did this with several different sticks. And then he set these rods that he peeled in front of the flocks, in the gutters of the watering troughs, when the flocks came to drink, that they should conceive when they drank. And the flocks conceived before the rods, and brought forth streaked, speckled, and spotted cattle. So we see here something unusual. What is number one, what is going to drink water have anything to do with conception and these sticks? And why do these sticks have anything to do with giving birth to spotted animals? So Rashi says over there that the sheep would go to the water, and as soon as they got there, when they raised their head, they see these sticks that would scare them. So they would go back And Yaakov made sure to send the female sheep first. So as soon as they would be startled by seeing this thing, they would go back, and the male was always behind them, and therefore they would both mate. So that's the first thing. That has to do with why there's the mating by the water. Now, what does the stick have to do with them having producing a speckled baby, little sheep? What does that have to do with it? From there we learn that what the woman sees at the time of procreation affects, and even pregnancy, affects what she produces. The Midrash Tanchuma, Parashat Naso, in chapter 9, has a story about Rabbi Akiva, where a king that was black, married to a black queen, had a child that was white, and wanted to murder his wife. But his wife cried out, says, listen, I don't leave the palace. Who am I going to cheat with? No, you cheated on me. How could it be? How could it be? She says, go to the Chachamim, go to wise people. See, I didn't cheat. At least give me a chance. So this black king went to Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva says to him, you are black, your wife is black, and you had a white kid? Yeah. He goes, what's the problem? He says, what do you mean what's the problem? It's a white kid. She cheated on me, I'm going to kill her. Rabbi Akiva says, not necessarily she cheated on you. He says, you have idols in your house, right? You have idols, statues, all types of things in your house? He says, yes. Rabbi Akiva says, what color are your statues? He says, they're white. All the statues are white. He says, okay, so it's your wife. Probably when you were intimate with her, she looked at one of the statues. And that's why you have a white baby. Because our sages knew what Yaakov Avinu was doing here. And he says, if you don't believe me, our Torah says so. We learned from Yaakov Avinu that he made these white streaks in this, and this led to the actual breeding of the animals, turning into speckled animal. The solid two brown sheep ended up having a speckled sheep baby. But they were both solid brown. Okay, they were both solid brown, but what they saw, what the female saw at the time of conception, that affected her. And from there we learn that whatever the woman sees at the time of intimacy, and even during the time that she's pregnant, affects the offspring. Now, if this was just in the Midrash, in the weekly parasha, for all of the generations of the past, this would be sufficient. In the generation we live today, following the heretical movement of enlightenment over the last couple of 100 years, the reform and the conservative and the all the different types of heretical groups, this is not sufficient. And that's why Kadosh Baruch Hu, when he created the world, already put this into play, that all of this will be proven scientifically. Different medical journals have documented how this all works in real life. The German medical journal, Der Arzt, in volume 7, page 30, documents that Dr. Unzel notes a case where there was a little boy that had a skin disease. And this skin disease left a very big red mark on his forehead. He wasn't born with this skin disease. He wasn't born with this mark. This happened while he was a kid. Got sick, and he had this red mark. His mom was always afraid that her other kids will always have this. She went through a nightmare with dealing with the skin disease in the first place, with her kid crying and everything. But always she thought, maybe, are my other kids going to have the same spot? And that's exactly what happened. Several months after this happened. She gave birth to twins, both of them having healthy, but having the red mark on their head. Now he got a red mark on his head from a skin disease. They were born already with the mark itself. Not sick. They didn't have a skin disease. They had the mark though. Meaning that the mom saw this, therefore she produced it. Dr. Van Zwieten, in the Commentaire Zubarev, in volume 3, page 406, describes that there was a pregnant woman who was sitting there, and all of a sudden she got startled because a worm fell on her neck. I guess she was under a tree or something, and a worm fell on her neck. She got startled. Several months later, she gave birth, and her baby was born with the exact replica, birthmark of a worm on their body. Same shape and color as the worm. A Norwegian author, Bjørnson, in the book Miracles of Will, says about his own personal experience. When his wife was pregnant, she saw one time there was a man that had an unusual fatty tissue on his ear. You know, this happens sometimes, Shem Yishmo. His ears had some really unusual look, a lot of fatty tissue. She stared at it. And she talked to her husband. She said to the Bjørnson, her husband, you know, I'm really afraid that our baby's going to actually have this type of ear. Why would he have this ear? We're not related to this guy. We don't even know who he is. What happened? He writes himself. And so it was. Their oldest son, the firstborn son, born with exactly the same growth on his ear. A few years later, she got pregnant again. And during her pregnancy, they had a guest in the house. And this guest was cross-eyed. Cross-eyed is very difficult. Sometimes, if a person doesn't know how to control themselves, they see things that are unusual, and they stare at it. They stare at them, see what's going to happen, this, that. And that's how she was. When she would see things that were unusual, she would stare at them. And now this guy is in our house, he's a guest. And she's staring at his cross-eyed. And a few months later, their child is born with exactly the same type of cross-eyed. And that's what he documents in his own book, Miracles of Will. Dr. Z. Maston writes in the journal, Maternal Impressions and Their Influence Upon the Fetus, of his own personal experience in one of his patients. One of his patients, Mr. William, he had an accident with a hunting gun, and a stray bullet hit his head. So for a period of months, he had to treat him. And the first time he went there to go treat him, the guy was already recovering already. Apparently he had other doctors first, and he was recovering, but still this required continuous ongoing treatment. So that's where Dr. Maston came in, and he sees the wife crying hysterical. He asks the guy, Mr. William, what's wrong with your wife? This didn't happen just now. So she goes, no, she's afraid that our son, she's pregnant. She's afraid that our kid is going to have also this spots on his face now, like I have from the gunshot. A few months later, Dr. Maston is called by this William family to come deliver the baby. He comes, delivers the baby, and he writes, baby's perfectly healthy, except he has the same exact large spot on his head like his father's after getting shot in the head. Same exact thing. And then many, many other documented cases like this where what the wife sees either during the act itself or during the pregnancy affects the fetus, affects the baby that comes out. So from there we see that what Yaakov was doing with these rods is something that's proven scientifically. Something that knowledge that Yaakov had already 4,000 years ago that science is only catching up to in recent years. By recent years, obviously, I don't mean in the last 5 years. This is the last 100 or so years, 150 years. But even more than that, the reproduction success of the sheep that Yaakov had, specifically being the spotted ones, was one of the things that the famous Israeli botanist Professor Yehuda Flix says this is certainly something that proves that Yaakov and our Holy Torah had knowledge of what they call today Mendel's law of inheritance and the law of heterosis, where he writes that in the late 1800s, the famous genetic researcher Gregor Johann Mendel, born in Czechoslovakia, was able to isolate pure generic strains of both yellow and green pea plants. After hybridizing them, the first generation produced only yellow peas, and the second generation produced 75% yellow peas and 25% green peas, meaning that the offspring of the green peas moving forward always remained green, whereas the yellow that originally started with 75% continued deteriorating, where only 25% of their offspring would be yellow peas. Even though he continued breeding them among each other, yellow and yellow, but yet the offspring from the yellow wouldn't remain yellow. Most of what they would produce would actually be green. And from this he concluded that despite the inbreeding of the yellow peas, the characteristic of the green peas remain inside them. Today we call this genes, where the yellow was the dominant gene and the green was the recessive gene. And despite the fact that at first glance the plant appears yellow, the true genetic composition of that yellow pea was actually yellow-green, a mix of both. And even when this yellow-green are breeding together, the strains will continue to produce 75% yellow and then 25% green, and then eventually only 25% of the yellow peas will end up being pure yellow without any green genes at all. So from there we see that the gene that's inside that yellow is not necessarily yellow. It's green. Meaning that those solid color sheep that Yaakov had, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Yaakov, look, they're all speckled, they're all stripes. Meaning inside them, they're not really solid. Inside, they're not really solid. Don't worry. And the law of heterosis takes this is a more recent discovery. He actually says that according to this law, heterozygotes manifest stronger fertility traits than the monozygotes. In other words, the entities with the mixed genetic strains are more likely to be more fertile than the single genetic strains. Such as the example of Yaakov, where if we had in front of us a flock of solid animals, solid color, and one group within the flock that included a mixed gene pool of both solid and spotted animals, this mixed gene group would actually be more fertile than the dominant solid color. And this is why the prophet hears from the word of Hashem, the angel's statement, where it says, "Lift up your eyes and see the rams upon your flock streaked, speckled, and spotted." What does it mean, lift up your eyes and see? It says, see the truth, that even though the animals appear to be a single color, their internal colors, their genetic composition are streaked, speckled, and spotted. And as a result, the colors of the offspring will actually be speckled, and also as a result of that speckled being the more successful and more productive as far as reproduction, you'll end up succeeding a whole lot more than Lavan will from this endeavor. So from here we see, Rabotai Yekarim, how the Torah fulfills its promise where it says, "Afoch ba ve'afoch ba dekula ba." And from there we can obviously apply this to our lives when we always teach about how a person is supposed to protect their eyes. And many people think we're only telling this to men. But I always tell women whenever there's an opportunity, all of the shiurim we have about immorality, wasting seed, all of those different things apply to women just as much as they apply to men. Men have to protect their eyes, women have to protect their eyes. And in fact, women have to protect their eyes with more things than men. You should never look at things that are disgusting, ugly, and so on, especially at times where you are pregnant. Needless to say, you should never look at a picture of any person while together with your wife, while together with your husband. Anybody that has pictures of people, anybody, in their bedrooms, remove them tonight. Pictures of animals, remove them tonight. Quite frankly, there really shouldn't be much pictures at all in the bedroom. Want to have a picture of the Bet HaMikdash or something, a picture of, flowers, by all means. But pictures of people, animals, never put this in bedrooms. This is one of the things that people are not careful of. One time I spent some time at a person's house, family member's house, and we're at night. All of a sudden, we hear one of the kids screaming bloody murder. Little kid, 5-6-year-old kid, wakes up in the middle of the night screaming bloody murder. Like somebody, what happened, So I see everybody, the whole house is up in arms. And, I see person calms the kid down, puts him back to sleep. I said, everything okay? You get hurt? He goes, no, this happens almost every night. I said, what do you mean almost every night? Why? I don't know. It happens. He just has these nightmares. So, okay. So I made it a point. I didn't want to say anything. It was a very, peculiar time, middle of the night, very stressful. Okay, fine. The next day, I made sure that when I passed down the hall, I peeked into that kid's bedroom. I didn't want to go in the room and start investigating people's houses, but I wanted to see, maybe I could see something. I passed by, the door was open. I passed by and I looked. I see the kid has, right next to his bed, is a picture of a lion. So I told this person, listen, you can believe or not believe, but get that picture out of the room. It was a lion? It's a lion. So yeah. Don't have pictures of animals in the bedrooms. Especially kids, gives them nightmares. He goes, why? But he likes lions. Yeah, in the morning he likes lions. Not when he has nightmares about different things. Remove that from the bedroom. He removed it. Immediately, the nightmares ended. Immediately. Something so simple? Yeah, something so simple. Something so simple. The eyes that you have are the windows to your soul. What you allow your eyes to see affects your neshama. You watch television, you watch immodest people in the news, you watch immodest movies, shows, you look at things that are inappropriate, it's going to affect you. You are not allowed to see these immodest people. You're not allowed to see people being immoral together. You're not allowed to see people, a man and a woman kissing and Shem Hashem, what else? Needless to say, you're not allowed to see animals mating. It's forbidden from the Torah. You're not allowed to see stuff like that. People, for some reason, think, oh, no, it's an animal. What's the big deal? Not allowed to see stuff like that. Unless that's your business. You're in a farming business. You're, a breeder of animals or something like that. That's a different story. But to see that stuff like on shows, they put it on Discovery channels and all types of shows, not to see stuff like that. All of that stuff affects a person. What you see, whether you're male or female, Jew or Gentile, will affect your neshama, will affect what comes out of your mind, what comes out of your body. And many times people are surprised that their kid doesn't look anything like them. He looks like the next door neighbor, looks like the wife cheated. Makes it look like she has no idea. How could this kid be? He doesn't look like anybody in the family. Well, he looks probably like somebody she looked at. How could it be? That's how it could be. Last but not least, I'll tell you a story. The Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin says, beautiful story, tells us a little bit of information about the holy tzadikot. The holy tzadikot that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought into this world, and how they managed their life, and how many difficulties they had, how many troubles they had to overcome, how many tests, how many opportunities. And everyone has heard of Bathsheba the tzadikah, Bathsheba HaKdosha, and what they may not know is that the song that Shlomo HaMelech wrote of a woman of valor is about his mother, Bathsheba. You can say, oh, that's a nice thing. That's nice that he wrote it for his mom. That's in Proverbs, chapter 31, verse 2. That's nice. What a nice son she has. Let me tell you a little story of how her little son, Shlomo HaMelech, got in trouble. He got in trouble. The Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin, Daf Ain Amud Bet, 70b, says, in one of the wives that Shlomo HaMelech got married to, she wanted to keep Shlomo HaMelech together with her. And he married her at the same time that they opened the Bet HaMikdash. And the one and only that had the keys to the gates of the Bet HaMikdash was Shlomo HaMelech. Meaning that they can't open the Bet HaMikdash without Shlomo HaMelech. So, but this wife that he had, she wasn't a good person. Shlomo HaMelech wanted to bring Mashiach, so he married all these different women. Different time, different story. Needless to say, Shlomo HaMelech celebrated the party with everybody and had drinks and got drunk on the wedding. What's the problem? Problem is the combination of the alcohol and the wife that doesn't care about Torah makes you wake up late for the Bet HaMikdash. So his mother Bathsheba tzadikah, she barges into his room. She's his mother. Yeah, but he's the king. She's his mother. No king. He's my son. Bathsheba tzadikah comes and she yells at him after tying him to a pole, like she's gonna whip him, like a little boy. And Shlomo HaMelech writes about this. He writes about this. His Ima says, Ma beri, ma bar bitni, ma bar nedarai. He says, what, my son? What, my son of my womb? What? Son of my vows. Gemara says, what is all this? What is she saying? So my son of my womb, son of my vows. What is all of this? She says, what, my son? Why do you do these sinful things? Going drinking with these other kings. What are you doing? You have the secrets of the world. You're going to drinking? But it's wedding. Doesn't make a difference. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give you wisdom. Now everyone is going to blame me. Why are they going to blame me? Because everyone knows your father David was a tzaddik. So they're going to say, oh, so he must have turned out like his mother. They're going to say he's a rasha because of his mother. Why? Why are you doing all this to me? Why? And then the Gemara says, okay, so why did she say, and what, son of my womb? What are you doing, son of my womb? Because his Ima was saying to him, my son, how can you act like this after I took care of you even while you were in the womb? That when all of the other wives of your father would get pregnant, they got what they want, they would run away from your father. They didn't want to go and be intimate with him anymore. Why? They got what they want, they're going to have a baby. They're hoping this baby's going to be the next king. That's it, they're happy. Yeah, but what about the husband's needs? No, he has other people to be with. I'm pregnant. Me, on the other hand, I listen to Chachamim. Chachamim tell us, it's good, it's healthy for the baby. It's good, it's healthy for the baby, for the Ima to be together with the Abba, especially during the last 3 months of the pregnancy when it's the most difficult. I have made sure that I was together with your Abba during those last 3 months, even when it was most difficult, because I knew it's going to make you more robust, more beautiful. And instead of using all of those gifts that you got, what do? You go spend them on being drunk, acting like a fool. That's what you do. That's what you do. I pushed myself to go do it. And this is how you pay me back. So the Gemara says, ay, ay, ay. And what about the last thing she says? Uma bar nedarai. And what? Son of my vows. Why she say that? She says, oh, what's son of my vows? What are you doing? How can you indulge like this? After the vows that I made. After the vows that I made were before you were even born. Where I said something different than all the other wives of your father. All the other wives of your father, they said, Hashem, listen, from now on I'll read Tehillim every day. From now on I'll pray once a day. From now on I'll do this mitzvah, I'll do that mitzvah. Just give me a son that's going to be the next king. When I prayed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I said, Hashem, I will do everything. Just give me a son that knows Torah. Give me a son that knows Torah, that can be a prophet. Tzaddik, Kodesh. That's all I want. No king, no nothing. I want a tzaddik. After I made such a vow to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's how you act. You're drunk. And she's hitting him while he's tied up, crying hysterical. And the Gemara says, how do we know that Shlomo HaMelech said, I'm sorry? How do we know? He says, look at the rest of what that proverb says. The rest of that proverb says, Eshet chayil mi yimtza v'rachok mibni micha. A woman of valor who can find far beyond pearls is of value. A husband's heart relies on her, and she lacks no fortune. And from now on, when you read that, Eshet Chayil, and understand the words, you'll see exactly what I just said inside. Inside the Eshet Chayil song, you're supposed to sing it to your wife every Friday night. Supposed to sing it to your wife every Friday night. She's the Eshet Chayil. If she knows that her husband will treat her like an Eshet Chayil, guess what? She'll act like an Eshet Chayil. Yiratzon, that every single one of us We'll prepare ourselves each and every single day to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu like tzaddikim and tzaddikot. Protect our minds, protect our eyes, protect our thoughts in the right way according to the teachings of the Torah. And that way, we'll be able to see clearly that, as the sages said, afoch ba ve'afoch ba dekula ba. Delve into it and delve into it and delve into it, because everything is in it. Not just everything in it that's intellectually stimulating, but literally everything is inside the Torah. The more you delve into it, the more you will find. With that being said, I'm going to take a small drink, and then you guys can start asking some questions. All right. Okay, so now I see. Okay, here we go. First question I see is, hi Rabbi, obviously Hashem does not need us. However, in a different perspective, does Hashem need us for His purpose? Not that Hashem is needy, chas v'shalom, but doesn't Hashem need everything for His plan and purpose? Please explain. Okay, so the thought process that Hashem needs anything is heretical. And in fact, it's there's a Gemara meforeshet where in the in Gemara Masechet Shavuot talks about where they try to say, look, Hashem is when he I think it's Daf Tet Amud Aleph says that when the moon asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu about not there being two big lights, and Hashem says to minimize yourself, he said to her, to the moon, and the moon was sad. Why? What I said had perfect credibility. Why do I have to minimize myself? So Hashem appeased her by saying, okay, well, gave her the stars. Later on, when Mashiach comes, she'll go back to what she was. But still, no matter what Hashem did, the moon wasn't happy. So then the Gemara says that Hashem says, okay, bring a sacrifice. Bring a sacrifice in my name to rectify this. Bring a sacrifice. So the heretics will say, look, see, what? Hashem is makes sins. He has to bring a sacrifice. He has to bring korban. So when a person reads the Torah that way, then certainly they're going to arrive at a mistaken logic and mistaken conclusion. The Gemara in the Yerushalmi, I believe it's in Masechet Peah, says in a place that there is a lot of information in Torah, and another place is a little bit of information, meaning that we don't ever conclude a single subject of Torah based on a single source. Quite frankly, we don't conclude anything in life, if you're smart, based on a single source. If you are going to analyze an investment, if you're a new investor, then most likely you'll see one report, one person told you about it, and you'll buy it or sell it. That's most likely the reason why you'll end up losing all your money. If you're a veteran and you've built yourself a track record of success, that's because you do a lot of research and use a lot of different sources of information. Same concept goes into medicine, science, and every other field. The more successful people do more research, have more sources, and so on. This is no different than in the world of Torah. The bigger the Talmid Chacham, the more sources they have to arrive at a real conclusion and not an assumption.
So when somebody looks at, let's say, the Masechet Shavuot Daf Tet, Amud Aleph in 9a, they're going to see that story, and it looks like God made a mistake. He's going to bring a korban. But then if you're going to go to the Gemara Masechet Chulin, Daf Samech Amud Bet, you'll see that there's a lot more to it. And you see that there's commentary there by different Chachamim, where the commentary explains exactly what's happening here. That this korban, this sacrifice that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, bring on my behalf, bring an atonement on my behalf for having diminished the moon, it's not that Chas v'Shalom HaKadosh Baruch Hu has made a sin, but rather he's telling us that in order to appease the moon, he tells her, listen, I'm going to make Rosh Chodesh depend on you. My nation is going to need to do Rosh Chodesh, celebrating of the new month each month. They're going to depend on you. And one of the things that my nation will have to do is to bring a sacrifice. Each Rosh Chodesh. So in essence, what he's saying is that bring a sacrifice on my behalf. Not that Hashem needs the sacrifice, is that I'm going to use my nation to bring a sacrifice in order to make this day special as a new moon. And that will show you that you're benefiting out of this whole arrangement. Not that Hashem needs to make a sacrifice or made a sin chas v'shalom, but simply another way to show us that He is the Creator, He is the Master, and every single thing that He does has a purpose. And the ultimate purpose of everything is to create good. Why? Because He is good, and therefore good wants to create good. If there's good, cannot be good by itself. You can't say, I'm a good person, and yet you are a loner in the middle of a cave. No one ever sees you. No one ever talks to you. No one ever knows that you exist, and you are good. That's not good. That's crazy. Okay, so to be good, you have to produce good. You have to do good. You have to help people. You have to encourage people. You have to produce good things. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the ultimate source of good, He created us in order to give us good, not to give Him good. He doesn't need us. The only one that benefits here is us. He doesn't benefit at all. He doesn't need anything at all because He is already perfect. It's just that He wants us to have good, and we have the ability to earn that good. If we do good too, if we emulate Him and we do good, then we will be able to benefit from that good. But if we don't do that good, then we get bad. He still doesn't lose. His plan will still work without us. If you live or die, if you existed or you didn't exist, His plan will still go the way He wants it to go. Our existence is inconsequential to Him. Your specific act that people believe, oh, if I do this, then I'm helping God's plan. No, you're not helping God's plan at all. You're helping yourself with that act. Because if you don't do it, He has an endless supply of creations that would simply do it better than you. When you choose to do it, it's because you are choosing to benefit yourself by fulfilling His will. So no one in their right mind throughout all of the generations has ever said what this heretic Friedman is saying on a regular basis, that God needs you or anything like that. No Hasid, no Tzaddik, no sage. Quite frankly, I don't even think the Goyim ever said it in their idolatry. This is a completely heretical foreign thought that is discussed by our sages, like I just showed you, in the Gemara, Masechet Chulin, and Masechet Shvuot, in different books by other Chachamim. But nonetheless, it is 100% heretical to think that God needs anything. He does not need anything. He's perfect with or without us. His plan will still be exactly the same, even if He had to replace this entire world, just like He did replace it when He destroyed the generation of Noach. Everything still went according to plan. If we didn't receive the Torah, he would give it to somebody else. If we don't fulfill the mitzvot, he has somebody else. If everything ceases to exist, he just simply decides to hell with all of it. Let's destroy all of it. Nothing changes for him. He doesn't need to create anything in order to benefit out of it. The only thing that is there to benefit is us benefiting from him, from his shekhinah, from his everything. We're the ones that are constantly like beggars getting from him constantly. He gets nothing from us. Nothing. So there is no plan that needs any of us, because simple, you could look at it like people look at business. Anybody that worked for big companies or is familiar with big companies and how they function, they'll realize that, quite frankly, the longer you are in the business world, the more you realize that everyone is disposable. Everyone is disposable. A lot of people work for companies, a lot of people worked for me over the years, and they feel like after they've been there for a year, 2 years, 3 years, they did a few good things. Oh yeah, I'm the best. I'm this, I'm that. Okay, great. You're the best. You're great. No problem. You can feel whatever you want. Just keep making sure you do your job that way or better. But what ends up happening, people get a little bit overconfident and they start slacking. They start coming in late. They start missing deadlines. They start changing their attitude. They start disrespecting. And then they start getting disappointed when you fire them. Oh, how can you fire me? I've been here for 3 years, for 5 years. Habibi, you're disposable. You're disposable. What you did it because I paid you. You didn't do it because you like me. You didn't do it because you just had, your dream was to sit in this chair in front of this computer or on this phone. You did it because you got paid. And guess what? A bunch of other people could also do it because they get paid. Oh, but I'm the best at it. Okay, so I'll get 2 people and they'll be just as good as you. Like, people don't realize they're disposable. They don't realize. They think like, oh, but I'm really good. Okay, so you're really good. So we'll have something less good, but also less headache. Guess what? The CEO is also disposable. But how could it be? CEO makes $1 million, $5 million, $50 million a year. How could somebody that makes $50 million a year be disposable? Simple. Look at corporate America. Look at the world. The second the company messes up, they miss earnings, they screw up somewhere, there's some type of lawsuit, whatever, the first one that shareholders blame and they want cut is the top guy. Why? You should have known better. You should have fixed it. Since obviously you're not fit to be the CEO, you're fired. Yeah, but you paid me $50 million last year. Exactly. We paid you $50 million because you were supposed to be the best. And apparently you're not. You're out. You're going to just replace me? Yeah, just replace you. But I'm not replaceable. Only in your mind. Only in your mind you're not replaceable. Everything is replaceable. Everything. Everyone is disposable. The problem is most people are too arrogant to admit it. They're too arrogant to admit it, and they end up, being very arrogant when it comes to, owning up to their mistakes. They become very arrogant when it comes to their positions. And usually those types of people jump around from place to place a lot because simply nobody else can stand them, or they can't stand everybody else, or a combination thereof. So just like people are disposable like tissue in the corporate world, in factories, in any aspect of business, as also they're disposable in this world altogether. In the eyes of God, even though your parents love you, if you become a murderer, guess what? They'll run away from you. Yeah, but I'm their only son. Yeah, but you're a murderer. They'll be afraid for their life. They'll just have a different son. They'll adopt a dog. Everything is replaceable. In the eyes of the Creator, He created good because He wants to give us good. But He doesn't need to give us good. This stupid theory from this philosopher Santa Claus Manus Friedman that says, oh, since He created us, that shows that He needs us. I don't need to eat. He needs me to eat. That is completely moronic, heretical, and I have no idea how people don't burn him on stage from all the stupidities feeding society. It actually shows how stupid people are today.
Are we here to get from God what we need, which He made us need? This doesn't make any sense at all. What is life all about? Fulfilling your needs. Did I ask for these needs? No. But you got to spend your whole life taking care of your needs. And if you don't, you go to hell? I mean, this is mind-boggling. No, God is the needy one. I'm not the needy one. That is such a burden off of our conscience. What's wrong with you? When are you going to be? How come you don't? Wait, you should. You better. No. I don't have to anything because I didn't create myself or the world. I'm here because He has a vast eternal need. And if I can do something for Him, my existence is justified. Otherwise, I got no problems. We are familiar with God because God needs us more than we need Him. If we could get this into our thinking, into our educational system, we need God. If He created us, then who needs whom? How did we become the needy ones when He created us? Here's what Jewish thinking should be. We are not needy and dependent on God. God is the one who is needy, and He is dependent on us.
You need to eat. God doesn't need you to eat. Yeah, but He created me to eat. Okay, so you know what? Since you don't need to eat, stop eating for a day or two, or 3 days, or 4 days, or 5 days. See what happens. Yeah, but then I'll die. Perfect. If God really needs you, you won't die. If God needs you, you won't die. If God needs you, you could just do whatever you want. It's such a dumb logic that unfortunately it has tum'ah on it that's penetrating the Jewish world more and more on a daily basis. So again, I repeat it for the umpteenth time, not just in this shiur, but over the years. To think that God needs anything, needless to say, He needs me or you or anything that we do, is 100% heretical. It's against the Torah. It is no different than taking a baby and bringing it to the Baal and burning it like idolatry. No different. No different. For a second to think that God needs anything. There's no such concept of God needing anything. No sage in the history of Am Yisrael has ever said such a thing. God needing anything. This is why this moron doesn't mention any actual sources. Because there are no sources. And guess what? Our Torah is built on sources. Where if you state something, you must have a source according to our tradition. Even in the Gemara, you'll see the sages make a statement. The first question, every single time without fail, that the other sages ask him is, where'd you get that from? You're saying such and such is allowed. You're saying such and such is what it is. You're saying, for example, Gemara Masechet Sanhedrin says, the tradition knows that a woman already shows pregnancy at 3 months old. One of the sages comes, no, I know from that a woman that gives birth after 7 months, she already shows after 2 months and a third. Say, where'd you get that from? That's what they ask him. Where'd you get that from? If he says, no, I saw one lady out there, or my mom told me, it's worth nothing. Give me a source from a Torah. No source from a Torah, it's worth zero. Nothing. So that's the point people don't understand today because they're so ignorant. They don't realize if you mention something, as there's no source for it in the Torah, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist because, as we said, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, He created the world with everything in mind. So if everything in creation, including today's talk, including tomorrow's conversation, including your lunch from 3 weeks ago, everything in the Torah, and this idea, this foreign idea is not in the Torah, then obviously this is something that does not have the right to exist. But that's the thing that people don't understand. That's the thing that people don't understand. It's just that If a person doesn't learn Torah, they do not have the ability to see the truth. So it's important for us to know that God does not need anything. He is complete. The only one that could ever benefit from this relationship is us. That's it. He doesn't need us to benefit. We choose to benefit or not by our actions. If we do His will, then we benefit. If we don't, we get punished. We don't get punished because He is looking to get back at us, like He's going to catch us in the back of the schoolyard. No. It's because He created us as a vehicle to produce good. Because He wants to give us good. But when we operate in a dysfunctional manner against our own purpose, then the punishment is there because that's the only action that could ever be. That's the only reaction to something that is dysfunctioning, that's going against its purpose. It's similar to a car works, everything is fine, fantastic. If it stops working, what do? You start using the hammers and the guns and the screws and this. You start busting up everything possible to go fix things. Yeah, but what if the car is hurt? Let it be hurt. It's not working. Yeah, but it's really noisy. Let it be noisy. I need to get back on the road. So Hashem has to punish us because we are dysfunctional. When we work according to the plan, then He can give us good. When we don't, the punishment is because He cannot give us good in our current status. So He has to remove all the filth we created. And sometimes a person can create enough filth that they lose their right to exist. So that soul gets eliminated altogether after a very, very lengthy and painful process. And that has endless amount of sources. You could see the Gemara in Masechet Rosh Hashanah, page Yud Zayin, Amud Aleph, Yud Bet, Tet Zayin, Amud Bet. You could look at the Sha'ar HaGmul by the Ramban, Nachmanides, the 7th section in Sha'ar HaGmul, Reshit Chochmah, Masechet Gehenom, and endless other sources that talk about the purpose of the punishment and so on. And again, it's important for people to know that all of this is the basic foundation of Judaism. Nothing more. Basic foundation. Believing anything else is believing in idolatry. Next question. Good evening. This is Jeremy. Good evening, Golarav. Whenever Eliyahu HaNavi Zachul Tov comes to the world for a job, does he get a reward for it or not? Since he didn't die, but he's not with us. Certainly, he's serving the Creator. He was chosen for a specific task. And one of the other tasks that he's chosen for is that he's going to be the one that will introduce us to the real Mashiach. This is also the reason why I tell people that no one in the world today is the Mashiach, because Eliyahu HaNavi has not introduced him. And the Torah itself, the Tanakh, says that Eliyahu HaNavi has to, will come 3 days before Mashiach. So even if somebody is very popular and a lot of morons call him Mashiach, it does not mean that he's Mashiach. Eliyahu HaNavi calls him Mashiach, then we have to pay attention. But Eliyahu HaNavi certainly has a benefit in serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's serving His purpose. There's nothing greater than that. Next question. Charlie, can you explain the meaning of these three from Shabbat service? Those who delight in it will inherit everlasting glory. Those who savor it will merit eternal life. Even those who love its words have chosen greatness. Can I explain what you're saying? In essence, this is the different, this is glorifying Shabbat, being delighted in Shabbat. There's multiple mitzvot that have to do with Shabbat. One is to observe Shabbat. Shamor is observing Shabbat and not violating it, not lighting fire, not driving a car, smoking a cigarette, and so on. There's also having Oneg Shabbat. Oneg Shabbat is actually having a Shabbat be distinguishable from the rest of the week. The clothes that you wear on Shabbat need to be distinguishable than what you wear during the week. You should have a Shabbat suit or a Shabbat outfit. The food that you eat should be food that's different from the rest of the week. If you eat Shabbat food, it even tastes different. And even if you cooked it again during the week, it won't taste the same as Shabbat. In fact, the Gemara says a story between Rabbi HaKadosh, Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi, and Antoninus. Antoninus was his dear friend, and he was also the king or Caesar. But the Gemara says that eventually he converted to Judaism, and certainly has a share of the world to come. And he's quoted in the Gemara many times. Many times he's quoted in the Gemara, bringing chidushim. Anyway, Antoninus once came and surprised Rabbi HaKadosh by visiting him on Shabbat before he converted. And Rabbi, of course, invited him in, the king, and he sat there and he started eating. And Antoninus, that has a huge palace, any food and grain that you could possibly imagine, he eats the food at Rebbe's house, and he starts losing his mind at how delicious it is. He says, "What is this flavor? What do you have here?" And Rebbe says to him, "This is Shabbat." So he doesn't understand. Okay, so he enjoys the food, unbelievable. And Antonino says to him, "Can you make me this food again?" He says, "Sure. When you want, you're welcome anytime." And he says to him, "Okay, I'm going to come during the week on a certain day." Okay, so of course, Rebbe that now has more time to prepare, because during Shabbat he didn't have time to prepare. He didn't know that the king was showing up. So this time he has time to prepare, with make sure the food is even warmer, to make sure that everything else to prepare for the king to come. The king comes, that's a lot more elaborate than even before. He starts eating the food, and he gets disappointed. He says, "Rebbe, my dear friend," Antonino says, "did you run out of money?" Rebbe was very rich. He says, "No, Your Highness, no, I have." He says, maybe you didn't have money to buy the ingredient that you have, because the food doesn't taste the same. He says, Your Highness, there's a missing ingredient." "What's the ingredient?" "I have a whole factory of ingredients. Any ingredient you want." He says, "Your Highness, I can't get it from you. It's not there." He says, "Why? It's not enough money? I'll give you as much money as you want." He says, no amount of money can do it, and you don't have it in your storehouse." He goes, "What do you mean? What is this ingredient?" Rabbi HaKadosh says to him, "Your Highness, it's Shabbat. Shabbat makes food taste better. But I eat food on a Saturday all the time." No, it doesn't make a difference. Shabbat, you eat Shabbat in a kosher home that celebrates Shabbat. The more Torah there is in that house, the more delight that there is in that house, the more effort that was put into that Shabbat, the more merits are surrounding that Shabbat table, the more you're going to see the food itself, become better, the atmosphere better, and everything else. And a person that glorifies the Shabbat with their clothing, with their dishes, with the decorations, with if specific guests, if they want to have guests, with the words that they speak about, the conversations, what they use their time for. The more a person glorifies Shabbat, the more that Shabbat itself is going to manifest into something that you could see, feel, and taste. And even more so, that is going to glorify the name of God and earn that person the merit to have an eternal life. But even more so than that, actually feel Olam Haba to a certain extent during that Shabbat. They'll actually feel a certain part of their feeling, will actually feel Olam Haba, a certain aspect of Olam Haba during that Shabbat. The more they put into it, the more they'll feel it. There were certain tzaddikim that literally felt the extra neshama enter their body. Some of us feel like the extra neshama leaves on Shabbat. So it all depends on who the person is and where they stand in their life. But the more a person uses specific words of Torah to say during Shabbat, to learn, and less and less of the rest of what's happening during the week, certainly no talk about anything that's secular, certainly no talk about anything that's forbidden, certainly forbidden to talk about work, only talk about Divrei Torah, full of pearls of wisdom, prepare a few stories, prepare a few Divrei Torah, prepare yourself as far as food, don't show up last minute, and take a shower 2 minutes before Shabbat comes in, already be prepared, and stop working at least 2 hours before Shabbat, and really put all of your effort into it. The more a person puts everything into it, the more they'll see those words that you wrote on the screen come to life. Hashem answered Yitzchak's prayers and granted him children. I'm sure that Yitzchak prayed for holy and righteous children. Why then did he have such a wicked son like Esav? There's many different reasons. Many different reasons. One of the things that Chazal teaches us is that if you want to know what kind of children you have, look at your wife's brothers. If your wife's brothers are tzaddikim, that's going to be affect your kids, your sons. If your wife's brothers are reshaim, that's also going to affect your wife's sons. So, although Yitzchak came from Avraham Avinu and Sarah, two tzaddikim, Lavan was the brother. Lavan was the brother. So that certainly had a certain impact. Second reason is that Esav was not really supposed to be wicked. Esav had an opportunity to be the father of Am Yisrael too. It was originally supposed to be that Esav was actually supposed to be even bigger than Yaakov. Now, because of that, he actually had bigger potential for Kedusha, but also he had a bigger Yetzirah that connected to Tumah. So if he would have overcome it, he would have uncovered a spark of Kedusha in the world unlike any other. And similar to how David HaMelech did it, similar to Yitro, similar to Ruth. So Esav technically was supposed to be a father for 6 of the 12 tribes. But because he forsook the entire Torah and Hashem, he ended up losing. So the plan of God was actually to have, the 12 tribes. The possibilities were both Esav and Yaakov. Yaakov didn't want it. Hashem doesn't need him, so he just simply gave everything to Yaakov. So Hashem's plan continues with or without us individuals fulfilling our purpose. His plan continues. This is a perfect example. Esav removed himself from the world of eternity, removed himself from the plan. He became the evil empire, and Yaakov got all of the benefit out of it. And that's, in essence, one of the things that shows us that Hashem doesn't need us. His plan works with or without us being part of it. Lastly, also, is that there's also a ultimate good versus evil, Kedusha versus Tum'ah, in the world that already started from the beginning with Cain and Abel. So it's just like a person could ask, why did Esav, why was he so wicked and his brother Yaakov was a tzaddik? You could say the same thing. Why did Adam HaRishon and Chava deserve to have Cain, the murderer, and where Abel was a tzaddik? Why? It's not necessarily based on their actions only. It's also based on something that's much more significant than that, which is the ultimate battle of good and evil, which is part of the fulfilling of the ultimate purpose of the world. Let me see. What does the morning blessings that says, "Blessed are you, Hashem, our God, King of the universe, who crowns Israel with glory and splendor" mean? We are the chosen people. We are the crown of Torah. When we learn Torah, we get a special crown. It's a spiritual crown. We got at Mount Sinai multiple crowns, but then lost some of it because of the golden calf. But when somebody learns Torah, they have the crown of Torah. They get the crown of Torah. Yaakov's like Yitzchak and Esav together, but Esav rasha, don't follow the way of Torah. Oh, okay. So, do cartoon figures on educational posters in kids' rooms need to be removed? For example, different human cartoon figures during different facial expressions. Again, if they are immodest cartoons, they need to be removed from your life, and not just from the kids' rooms. Today, practically, most toys and cartoons are homosexuals, prostitutes, and all types of disgusting things. I just recently heard they're now making all types of dolls that are, representing pedophilia. So the world is very sick. Disney is promoting Sodom and Gomorrah through their movies and their cartoons. When I was a kid, the most exciting cartoon would be Bugs Bunny, being chased by Elmer with the shotgun and eating the carrot and saying, "What's up, Doc?" That was the excitement we got. Today, Hashem Yishmor V'Yatzil, what people do with the cartoons and everything else. There's actually a whole slew of media of people, of sick people that watch pornography that's based on cartoons, and those same exact figures are being sold as toys, sometimes with and sometimes without clothes.
But it's not just the sexual mutilation of children in hospitals. This is part of a larger trend, and the trend is this: adults crossing the line, and it has always been a bright line, into deep involvement with the sexuality of children. That has always been, and must in a civilized society always be, the most forbidden thing. It's considered unacceptable even among prison inmates. But now it seems to be growing in its prevalence. Consider the latest ad for the clothing brand Balenciaga. This was just uploaded on Instagram. As you can see, the photo shoot they're using to sell their products features a young girl holding a teddy bear in a bondage outfit. Then, in case you missed the point, the photo shoot also contains this image. It shows several documents. Most of them aren't visible, but what you can see when you zoom in, and of course the point is that you see it, is a reference to a U.S. Supreme Court case called Ashcroft versus Free Speech Coalition. That case struck down a law against kiddie porn. What is this? Well, it is what it appears to be. It's an endorsement of kiddie porn, of child pornography. What else could it be? We wanted to know. So we reached out today to Balenciaga to get their explanation, and they didn't respond. So we're going to have to take that on face value and ask, where's the moral outrage? We have an entire industry in this country comprised of moral outrage merchants. If you've ever been on Twitter, you know what we mean. Truly, an entire sector of our economy is devoted to attacking people for falling short of the mark. And here is a high-end retailer promoting kiddie porn in an ad on Instagram, and nobody notices. There's no boycott. There's no front-page New York Times editorial against it. And, of course, Instagram let the advertisement run, endorsing kiddie porn. And, by the way, if you have an alternate explanation for what this was, let us know. A child with a teddy bear in a bondage outfit and a Supreme Court decision striking down a kiddie porn law displayed on the table? What is that? Are we jumping to conclusions? Don't think so. It is what it appears to be. It's right in your face, and no one's saying anything. Again, Instagram had no problem with this.
So it's important for a person to know that modesty is also required in cartoons, not just real people. So sometimes it's not possible to have complete modesty. So you as a parent have to fill in the blanks. So I'll tell you, for example, what my dear tzadikah wife does. Sometimes, we'll get different workbooks for our kids to learn from, different subjects and whatever. And, for what their age is. And there's drawings, there's different figures at times. So, or there's different books, let's say, that have stories that we know. But perhaps somebody more modern drew the pictures and they'll put a woman with short sleeves on. Now, this is not like the garbage that's out there in the world, but nonetheless, still, short sleeves in our house is inappropriate. For a woman, it's inappropriate. So what does my dear tzadikah wife, before any of my kids ever see this book, she goes to every single page and she covers the rest of the skin, she colors it in. If it's a mother, she'll put kisui rosh on the mother, she'll draw some kisui rosh. And guess what? My kids have learned to already do that themselves. If, let's say, something is missed. Oh, Ima, look, she's not covering our hair. Ima, look, the skirt's too short. What do? Immediately, they get the marker. The whole little team, tzaddikim, run around, get the marker, get this. Okay, I got the leg. Everybody covers the page. That's it. It's like a book that came out of Bnei Brak. Why? It's a whole family thing. We're all trying to be kedushim. So that's in essence what you have to put into your house. Regardless of whether Jew, Gentile, old, young, it doesn't make a difference. What you allow these eyes to see is what you allow to enter into your soul. So that's the same concept with drawings for kids and everything else. If the things are immodest, that means they're inappropriate for anyone, both for children and for adults. You need to fix it if it's fixable. If it's not fixable, certainly remove it. If it is things like let's say what you're saying is like faces. If it's just a image of a face that's making a funny face, ugly face, or something like that, quite frankly, I wouldn't have it in the bedroom where it's in the view of what the kid sees when he goes to sleep. So if, let's say, for example, he's laying down with his head here and his feet over there, I wouldn't have the picture be the thing that he looks at last before he closes his eyes or her eyes. I would have it, behind him or somewhere else. Certainly whatever they see before they go to sleep has an impact. But there's no problem of having somebody's face or some of these cartoons or whatever it is, if they're appropriate. But animals like that are carnivorous animals that are predators, that for sure don't have any pictures of that stuff, regardless of we're inside rooms. That, quite frankly, I wouldn't even have it in the house. But if a person must have it, don't have it in bedrooms at all. Not behind you, not in front of you, not next to you, not nothing. The animals. It's the other things, you could be more lenient in it if you want, but again, there's certainly care that needs to be taken care of as far as what they do. And the same thing goes with the workbooks and the things that they see. Today it's the world is kids learn a lot through media. So you can't completely close your eyes to the world and say, okay, listen, we're never going to see a screen again. My kids are not going to know what a computer is. That's not realistic. You have to learn how to deal with modernization and adjust. Not adjust yourself, adjust the modernization and bring it up to speed. But you can't just completely put yourself in a cave and say, okay, we're never going to see anything. No, you're going to see things that are allowed. And if there's anything that ever violates that permission, if it's fixable, we fix it immediately. No delay. If it's not fixable, it gets discarded immediately. It has to be a family-wide practice. In the beginning, it may only be you doing it, but try to get the rest of the tzaddikim in the family to join forces. Are thoughts of Hashem forbidden in restrooms as well as thoughts of Torah? How does a person protect themselves from the Yetzer Hara in a place they can't think about Torah? So, thinking about Hashem, if a person sanctifies themselves and learns a lot of Torah, it is not possible for them not to think about Hashem at any time. So that includes being in the bathroom and anything else. Now, but that is something that would come to them naturally. If you're talking about bringing those thoughts on themselves, certainly they shouldn't bring those thoughts onto themselves. They shouldn't think about the different midrash they just read, or the story they just read, or the sugya they're going through in the Gemara, or some halacha they're trying to paskin in the bathroom. No, that's in an inappropriate place. They have to try to occupy their mind with something that's neutral. They could read some type of historical book, so it doesn't have anything that's inappropriate, but also not anything that's going to bring thoughts of Torah. They could also try to do whatever they can, depending on their health, to expedite their time in the bathroom, so they don't spend much time in the bathroom. The better The less time they're in the bathroom, the better. But sometimes that's not possible for some of us, and a person has to spend a lot of time. They have a stomach ache, they have intestinal issues, they have, I don't know, whatever it is. They have different issues. They have to stay in the bathroom for a while. So if a person like that, learns a lot of Torah, for them not to think about Torah or Hashem is not possible. They have to occupy their mind with something. So, like I said, get yourself, one of these books about the Holocaust, or different subjects that are permitted, that are perfectly fine, and things that you really shouldn't read about outside of the bathroom because you need to learn Torah instead. So there's plenty of books that I've suggested over the years. Generally speaking, I can tell you from my experience, one of the places that I've learned a lot of things is in a bathroom that I would not learn otherwise because I just don't have the time. So I'll read a book that's if I'm there for 2 minutes or 5 minutes or more, whatever I'm there, I'll read something that has to do with something that is good, just not something that I would spend time doing otherwise. Book about the Holocaust, book about some type of historical issue, book about, I don't know, physics or nature, I don't know, whatever, different things that interest a person that they should occupy their mind with. Now that Hanukkah is coming, I saw a post about architecture in regards to sacred geometry. Basically the science of special geometrical ratios present in nature. Since architecture is from Greek origin, do this type of geometry consider avodah zarah? No, not at all. Architecture is not from Greek origin. Everything is from the Torah. It's the fact that they've brought out certain things to the world doesn't mean anything. There's plenty of columns that have the design of the Egyptian palaces in Jewish homes and synagogues even. I used to take a class for art history and spent some time learning about different columns and architecture and sculpturing and so on. You actually see that there are certain columns that are in holy places that are of either Greek or a lot of times it's usually Egyptian origin that were actually in the at the time of originated at the time of our slavery. There's no problem with using those types of designs and so on. You're not sanctifying them, their idol or anything like that. It has nothing to do with it. You're just using it for beauty only. So no, there's no issue as far as idolatry. I know I'm allowed to study Pirkei Avot, being that it's from the Mishnah. Pirkei Avot is Musar, and therefore it's perfectly fine for Noahites to learn. When I said a week or 2 weeks ago to the person that asked me about, that said that there's a group of rabbis or a rabbi that's teaching their group of Noahites the Mishnah, and I told him that this is a sin, that's because the 99% of the Mishnah is not Pirkei Avot. Pirkei Avot is simply one segment of the Mishnah. This is actually a collection of Mishnayot from different parts of the Mishnah. But there are, there are 6 sections to the Mishnah, and many books. Whether it's in English or Hebrew, whatever it is, and the Pirkei Avot is just one book, one volume. So that part, yes, but the rest, no. Why? Because the rest is going to teach you different laws of Shabbat, different laws of what you're allowed to do on Yom Tov. You're going to go into a Masechet Moed Katan. It's going to teach you about what's allowed on Chol HaMoed, whether you're allowed to if let's say that you have a field and trees and it's Chol HaMoed, are you allowed to still water it? No, you're not allowed to water it. But if there's a collection of water, are you allowed to scrape it and connect it to the other? If you have a pool of water that went into one ditch, can you make a little scrape during Chol HaMoed and take that, connect it to the other trees? Is it allowed? Is it not allowed? Is it based on effort? Point is, these are intricate laws that have to do with Jews and Jews only. So these are things that a Gentile cannot learn intentionally. If this is something they hear in something that's predominantly about things that they're allowed to learn about, no problem. But if they go out there and specifically learn laws that are not pertaining to them, then the Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin, page 59a, say they deserve a death penalty. Meaning that a Noahide that learns the laws of Noach, the laws that are pertaining to him, the things that are pertaining to him, which is the Tanakh with commentary and Musar, that Noahide that learns and complies with that is considered like a Kohen Gadol, that amazing person that's going to have a share of the world to come. But a Noahide that learns things that are forbidden to him, intentionally learning those things that are forbidden to him, and this is a Noahide that is considered a thief and deserves death penalty by God. It's not a mitzvah. Same concept with these Noahides that insist on observing Shabbat. It's death penalty. It's not a mitzvah. Oh no, God gave it to everybody. Oh yeah, show me one Arab or Christian from 150 years ago that says they were keeping Shabbat. This is a recent invention of Gentiles keeping Shabbat. Recent invention because a bunch of irreputable people are looking to make money off of the Goyim by making them feel holy with this micro Judaism version that they have. Judaism version 2. Judaism for the Goyim. No, listen, if you want to be a Jew, you're welcome to do it. You're welcome to come. We'll try to help you as much as we possibly can to convert. If you live here, obviously it's one thing. If you live somewhere else, there's sponsoring rabbis elsewhere. But nonetheless, we try to help people convert if they want to convert. If they don't want to convert or they can't convert for whatever reason or another, then they have to focus on their role in the world, which is to be a righteous Noahide. A righteous Noahide has a responsibility to learn the things that are pertaining to him and him only, her and her only, not the things that pertain to the Jewish people. Don't learn the laws of Shabbat. Don't learn the laws of Kashrut. Don't learn the laws of family purity. It has nothing to do with you. It's forbidden for you to learn those things. And many times people don't want to listen. They insist on doing these things. And then, you hear sometimes from them, sometimes from other people, that tragedy happened to them. Tragedy happened to them. And, I try to warn people in different ways, but unfortunately nobody wants to listen to me. I tell people about, not to do it, and they don't listen. And then they say, somebody dies, somebody gets cancer, somebody loses their job, all types of tragedies. They just have a hell of a life. Same concept with Maaser. I tell people, donate for Kiruv, donate for good things. And Baruch Hashem, sometimes people listen and they start donating. And then they start getting success. God gives them success, makes them more money. And I've seen this a number of times. More times than I even want to, it's unbelievable how many times people succeed when they donate to our organization. And what happens, instead of being like a normal person that has a brain in their head and donating even more, what do? They start spreading the wealth to different organizations. All of a sudden they become some philanthropist. They start donating to this one and that one and this one. And then what happens? At some point, apparently Hashem doesn't like it and he takes away everything. Or he takes away a big part and they start losing. And who do they come crying to? Oh, Rabbi, listen, I don't know what happened. I just lost half my portfolio. I bought this one stock. I bought this one Bitcoin. I bought this garbage. I did this deal. This partner stole from me. What should I do? What you should have done is the same thing that brought you the success. Continue. Why did you jump ship? But the reality is 99.9% of the time that you would tell this to people, they simply won't believe you. They'll blame it on some, nah, it's not possible. What do you mean? Nah, it's just because, what, you're upset that somebody else got it? Why everything has to go to you? What do you think it goes to me, to my pocket? You think I benefit out of it? It's for you, you're benefiting out of it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's going to send us everything we need anyway. It's you that chooses to be a part of it. But people don't want to listen. People don't want to listen. They ask me for advice after they've already made their decision. I have these people that, honestly, it's like it's one of those things where it's like I know it's part of my tikkun, it's part of what I need to do, but it's like certain people that rub me the wrong way because they decide what to do with their life and then they ask me what do I think, which is one of the most obnoxious things in the world. But they don't tell me that they already decided. Oh, listen, Rabbi, what do you think about me doing such and such for a living? Oh, it's a terrible idea. You should not do that for a living. Stay away from that business. It's a horrible business. Oh, but Rabbi, it's a really good and I have connections there and I want to do this and I want to do that. why did you ask me if you've already made up your mind and you already started and it's already like, why? You asked me because I assumed, I'm answering because I assumed your decision is going to be affected by what I said. If you've already decided, what are you trying to convince me or convince yourself? Either way, you're wasting our time. Stop wasting my time. My time is the most valuable asset that I have aside from my Torah. That's it. Because my time I can use for Torah. I can use to help people. I can use to spend with my family. I can use it to smash my head against the wall if I want. Just not to do this, because I prefer to smash my head against the wall than to deal with people that ask me about things they've already decided. Oh, Rabbi, what do you think about me bringing such and such person over my house? I think it's a horrible idea that you brought this person to your house. Oh, but they're already staying here for the last 2 days. Should I tell them to leave? Wait, you asked me after the person is already staying in your house for 2 days whether they should come? Why? What if I said yes? What if I said no? What will you get at? Where are you going with this? And that's most people's questions are sometimes like that. So I tell you all, it's frustrating as can possibly be to deal with that because you are taking not only time, but it's also somebody else's opportunity to get a real answer. And also, you're taking away all the blessing that you were supposed to get for listening to Da'at Torah, because you listened to your own opinion. Had you listened to Da'at Torah, whether that's coming from me or somebody that's a big Talmid Chacham, and you would have done what that Talmid Chacham said, guess what? Whatever that decision was, it would have had blessing on it. But because you've already decided, it doesn't matter what anybody would say. If you decide, I'm going to go have, go into this business, and then you go to Rav Ovadia, and you say to Rav Ovadia, what do you think? Should I go into that business or not? You already decided to go in. You're already in. You already have a little office. But you decide to ask Rav Ovadia, what do you think? Should I go into the business or not? Even if Rav Ovadia says, yes, go into it, doesn't mean you're going to have the blessing. Why? You didn't listen to him. You came to him after the fact. So if you would have come to him before and he would have said yes, guess what? That yes would have actually given you success, would have given you more merit, would have given you merit, would have made it a mitzvah to do it. But that's the thing. Nobody wants to listen. People want to be, something else. So it's frustrating because I know how much people lose because of this. I know how much pain people go through because of this stuff. They go through so much pain and agony that's so unnecessary. It's not even a punishment. That's another secret I tell you guys. A lot of stuff that happens to people, it's not even a punishment. It's simply things they bring on themselves for not listening to Hashem. It's not a punishment. Punishment, most of the things in this world are not punishment. This world is not well suited for punishment. There's a much better places that were designed with punishment in mind, which we talk about in the movie Gaon and other ones and so on. This world is not designed for punishment at all. And most of the things that happen to people in this world are things they bring on themselves because they don't listen to Hashem, because they don't listen to the instructions of the Torah. So I wish people would simply listen. It would bring so much happiness to people. Mamash, it breaks my heart when I think about it. Let's go to the next question. It's really, really, really sad. If Esav was killed during Abraham's burial, not during Abraham. Why during Abraham's burial? And his head rolled into Abraham's grave. How can there be subsequent? No, he didn't. Esav didn't die during Abraham's burial. Esav died during Yaakov's burial. One of Yaakov's grandkids killed him. He didn't die. Esav didn't die during Yaakov's burial. I don't know why you think that he died during he didn't die during Abraham's burial. No. Is Gog going to use sorcery like Amalek did? Interesting. The Yakut Me'am Loez says that the most powerful war that ever was, that's even more significant than Gog and Magog, was the war against Amalek that Moshe Rabbeinu fought. Because the Amalek were sorcerers. They used sorcery that worked, not like the movies. real serious sorcery. They would send specific soldiers that couldn't die because it wasn't their day. All types of really, really interesting things. The Gog and Magog is going to be a very, very significant war. Whether they will all use sorcery or not, no, I don't think that's the case, because most people are not familiar with sorcery at large. But whether certain people are going to use sorcery, it's very possible, but it won't matter. It won't matter. Once the Mashiach comes, Mashiach ben David, it's game over for everybody. As there is only one truth, the Torah, so only serving Hashem is the true way of life. Doing tshuva, dedicating yourself to Hashem and our mission. Which synagogues do you advise? Which rabbis will be around us? And how do you do this process? It all depends on where a person lives. Certainly a person should only be connected to a Orthodox synagogue and an Orthodox rabbi that has, the right ideology, where they are, they abide by the law, they don't modernize anything, they follow they themselves have a rabbi, they follow the words of Gedolei Hador, they honor the sages. So it has to be an Orthodox shul, an Orthodox rabbi. And again, there's, Baruch Hashem, plenty of different locations around the world. It all depends on when this person is. If a person can live in a, big, developed Jewish community, that's certainly a very big benefit. If he cannot, he can live only in a small Jewish community, then okay, that also has certain benefits as well. But to live outside of the community is not good. A person certainly should do the best they can to live inside of a community next to their rabbi. In fact, the Chachamim teach us that a person needs to follow, or should follow their rabbi, and even spend everything they have to go wherever their rabbi goes. Meaning that even if their rabbi leaves Israel and decides to come to America, they should follow him. If he leaves America and he goes to somewhere else, they should follow him. They should follow the rabbi wherever he goes. Today, people replace rabbis like they replace their underwear, like they replace their T-shirts. They replace their rabbis based on YouTube videos and YouTube views. Today this one's my rabbi. Tomorrow this guy's thumbnail looks better, so he's my rabbi. And next week this one spent more money on advertising, so he's my rabbi. So people have a lot of choices and ultimately nothing. So a person needs to really develop a connection to a certain rabbi and his teachings. You don't necessarily need to talk to this rabbi on a daily basis or live next to him, next door to him, or anything like that, but you need to have one main source of information. Generally speaking, I would say 9 out of 10 people that I speak to listen to way too many different rabbis. Way too many rabbis. They listen to videos and different podcasts and whatever from different rabbis, and what ends up happening is they end up being confused and just spiritually weak people, because the different teachings they have may be entertaining, but they're not developing anything solid, because they're all coming from different approaches and they all have different ways, understandings, and they're not building anything strong. Usually, these types of people end up falling off or getting into a lot of trouble. Usually, the people that develop a solid, state of spirituality are people that listen to the same thing, same rabbi their whole life. They don't change. They have the same rabbi. Once in a blue moon, they can listen to a Talmid Chacham that the rabbi says it's okay, but again, the main teaching is that. That's what it is. Most people are it's like they want to watch movies. They treat rabbis like movies. Today they want to watch this movie with the planes. Tomorrow with aliens. The next day movie with sports. The next day with a love story. The next day with children. Next day was mafia, gangsters, and in essence, that's the rabbis. Today it's the Ashkenazi rabbi. Tomorrow it's a Sephardi rabbi. The next day it's the Gaon rabbi. The next day is the that rabbi. You know, it's a problem. It's a problem. It's not a good. It's not a healthy thing. And I've actually seen many times where people end up, making very big life mistakes as a result of this listening to different things and different people. If you don't have a rabbi, Gemara says, God hates you. Not because a person doesn't listen to Torah, but rather because he's not listening to the sages themselves that say you have to make yourself a rabbi. Is it still Esav's mission to conquer evil within himself today? Read commentary that he would be dedicated to the divine goodness and subordinate to Yaakov. Can you explain this in Messianic times? Okay, so Esav obviously broke up into many, many different places. In fact, when the angels asked Hashem, why did you create Esav? Hashem says, I saw that from Esav is going to come Rabbi Meir Bar Anes. So for Rabbi Meir Bar Anes, the holiness that created in this world, it was worth it to bring Esav, which produced Amalek, which produced the Holocaust, which produced the pogroms, the Inquisitions, the Nazis, and everything else. It was worth it. Why? For Rabbi Meir Bar Anes. But of course, it's not just Rabbi Meir Bar Anes. It's also Rabbi Akiva. It's also many, many other tzaddikim that come from Esav. Till this day, people convert from Esav. Little sparks of Kedusha come from Esav till this day. Till this day. Now, the head part that is committed to impurity, is still has that, is still on that target. But anyone that wants to remove themselves from it has the choice to do so. Okay, guys, I'm kind of tired. It's already 2.5 hours. Let's see. Can we host an event such as a Torah lecture, bat mitzvah, birkat habayit, with men and women sitting at the same table with each other? Most are married couples. Can I also have single ones and tables that's single? It's not easy. It's not an easy situation. If it's couples, generally speaking, if it's a seating type of thing, it really should be men on one side, women on the other side. If you're talking about mostly secular people or people that are very traditional, even if couples are sitting next to each other, you have to try to emphasize that the husband has to sit next to his wife, not next to somebody else's wife. On one side, and on the other side is another husband. So there's never one husband sitting next to somebody else's wife. You have to arrange the seats that way. You have to be careful. So no husband is sitting next to somebody else's wife, and no wife is sitting next to somebody else's husband. That's one. As far as the singles tables, those should be separate. Those should be guys on one side, girls on the other side, because that could be really problematic. But again, if you're having everybody there, it's an issue. It's not an easy thing. I can't give you a full echsher on having boys and girls that are young and single and secular sitting together. It's not the ideal situation. Let's just say that. Why do you think Kanye West may commit suicide within the next 10 years? Because that's the outcome of people like him. When they realize it's not necessarily suicide. I think that ultimately he's just going to die. Whatever way God takes him back from this world doesn't really make much of a difference to me. I don't necessarily want the guy to die. I mean, it would be nice if he does tshuva and become a righteous Gentile. But the way he's going, he's developing a very, very deep connection to the highest levels of tum'ah. He already started, early on when he sang about his idol, Yoshke. And little by little, he's become more and more anti-Semitic, more and more, crazy. People like that, they don't live long lives. Just look throughout history. It's not something that is a big secret. But also, the one thing that adds the target that he put on his own head is simply, the Torah tells us in multiple places, in this week's parasha, in previous and later, where Hashem says, I will bless those that bless thee and curse those that curse thee. He is going around town, going against the Jewish people as a group, because he had bad experiences with a few people that are Jewish. He's in essence blaming the entire nation, and expressing a lot of hatred for them, and also befriending Nazis that, quite frankly, shows how stupid he is, because that same Nazi is only writing his tale to get more publicity, to get more financial benefits. If that Nazi had his way, he'd slaughter Kanye West even before Kanye's enemies would. That's the stupidity of people like him, is that he doesn't realize who his friends are, who his enemies are. He's blaming an entire people for the flaws of and mistakes of few people. He is claiming himself to be Jew, whatever that is, Jew. I don't know. I've never heard of anybody describe themselves as Jew. Jewish, maybe, but Jew. He's creating new things. He's treating. He even calls himself God sometimes. He's like Paro. He created himself into an idol, and that's the way he's going. It's the way he's going. He's one of those people that will ultimately be uprooted from the world in a earlier than normal, and most likely in a very unnatural way. Should Noahites make their own community, or should we go to synagogues? Noahites cannot go to synagogues of Jews. Jews will not allow that to happen. Fear of assimilation. As far as Noahites making their own communities, I spoke about this recently. One of the Stump the Rabbi lectures, somebody asked about Noahites. I talked about that. You can go to that lecture and see that. Is there any way to do Kiruv through music for someone that is good at it? Music through Kiruv, people get closer to Hashem as a result of learning Torah and doing mitzvot. Music can make a person feel good for moments of time, but it's certainly not going to make them do tshuva. It's certainly not going to make them serve Hashem better on a consistent basis. I mean, it's certainly good to have some music if that elevates the person's soul, but I wouldn't necessarily call it Kiruv. You can use the music for Kiruv purposes. Make music for the movies and videos that we make and other organizations make songs about God. Yeah, these are nice things to do, but again, there's different tools that you can use. I wouldn't necessarily think, strangely, it's the same question I got earlier today that you're asking me, and you're not the same person that asked me about that. Anyway, to say I'm gonna sing a song or make certain beats, and that's gonna inspire somebody to go to shul and start serving God and keeping Shabbat, I don't believe that's that's possible, quite frankly. But if somebody can, by all means, do it. It's not that it's not allowed. It's just that I don't see how that would be. It's the same thing. Like, I don't think it's possible for music to make anybody do anything else, as far as aside from some random event. As far as the music can motivate a person to inspire them to lift some weights or to run or some type of expression physically for that moment. But whereas serving God is something that requires a lot more thought and mental efforts. So I don't see it. What were you laughing about in the beginning before you started, when you were flipping through the pages of the book? I like Torah. So when I see it, it makes me happy. It makes me happy. I look at the different pages, and as the pages go through, each one says something or highlighted something, and I hear the story, and I love Hashem's Torah. Baruch Hashem. Okay, all right. Thank you for that question. It's made me happy. I remember now that after I finish, I can open up my books again. Baruch Hashem. All right, School of Mitzvot. Thank you very much for the questions, for learning with me. Hopefully, you enjoyed it as much as I did. You learned from it as much as I did. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bless each and every single one of you to continue serving Him more and more. Get closer to Him. Bring your families closer to Him. Bring your neighbors, your strangers, your enemies, everyone, the whole world. Bring them closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu so we can sanctify HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name for our benefit. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is perfect without us, and we simply need to show Him our gratitude that He created us. Thank you very much. Shabbat Shalom, and we'll speak soon. Kol Tov.
There are no shortcuts, no tricks, no magic. The very cave you fear possesses the cure you seek. Go within. Just know, once you cross that threshold, there is only one way out.
There was a rich family that lived here called the Hetheringtons, and unfortunately, their daughter passed away of a heart attack inside the house. Basically, they were so devastated that they reached out to people claiming to be psychic mediums. They actually weren't psychic mediums. They opened up a total of 11 portals inside this house and invited spirits and entities from all different kinds of dimensions.
Well, I think there are certain pieces of evidence that there is an afterlife.
Resurrection of the dead is affirmed pretty clearly in the Talmud and the Midrash.
To be honest with you, to give this lecture is a nightmare. If it was up to me, I wouldn't. There's going to be some graphic details.
This place is a maze.
That person after death went to a place called Shiur.
This is by far the largest near-death experience study that has ever been conducted.
People go to a place and they experience weird things. And sometimes they actually will see a character of some type. Well, where did that come from?
I don't know why that one chain is swinging back there.
They may describe feeling profoundly peaceful, seeing a bright, warm, welcoming light. Some people describe watching doctors and nurses working on them with incredible accuracy.
Next thing I knew, I was above my body watching the operation.
How long did you feel like you were gone?
I went to a place of timelessness. And so what that means, it could have been a second, could have been 5 minutes. I don't know.
Can you imagine waking up from your sleep and not being able to move?
As I'm lying there, I realized that there's an evil presence next to me.
Do you believe that angels, demons exist?
Holy dude, get out of here! Oh my god, dude!
Strange things keep happening. Bizarre nightmares, as if I'm on fire.
Whoa, what the hell is this? Man, I've got bad chest pain.
Satan's Hollow is what it's called, the portal to hell.
Some people calling it an eye of fire, while others said it looked like the portal to hell opening up.
And the next thing I know, I was outside of my body, looking at my body.
What I'm going to do is called claromancy, the art of throwing lots or throwing bones.
2,000 years of experience, passed down, recorded, of how demons work.
God has them all on a leash, and He lets the leash go enough to let them tempt us, because that's what makes us spiritually stronger.
I'm trying to be as graphic as possible so you understand what we're talking about.
It's your ticket to reality. It's your ticket to freedom. It's your ticket to immortality.
Is there an afterlife? Is there a God?
It's the type of information that can keep you away from the Esav.
What happens to us after we die?